Hello folks, welcome to this series of AWS services, and today we are going to talk about Elastic File System. In short is referred as EFS. Now throughout this journey of AWS services, we have talked about various storage services. We have talked about simple storage service, which is S3. While launching the EC2 instance, we have seen Elastic Block Storage, that is EBS. And now we are going to talk about a new storage service called Elastic File Storage. So first of all, why do we need EFS? Now let's look at the older services that we have already studied, which is like S3. Now S3 was object-based storage. It stores files in a format of key value store, where the key is the file name and the value is the content of the file. The problem with S3 is that you cannot mount S3 storage directly with your EC2 instance. If you want to mount a file system on your EC2 instance, you have to use EBS, which is Elastic Block Storage. But again, issue with the EBS volume is that you can attach one EBS volume with only one EC2 instance at one particular time. You cannot attach multiple EC2 instances with your EBS volume. And that is where EFS comes into the picture. So EFS provides you a scalable file system which you can directly attach with your EC2 instances across multiple availability zones. So basically the same file system can be accessed by multiple EC2 instances at the same time. Another advantage of EFS over EBS is that you don't even have to tell the size of EFS. While creating the file system, you don't have to tell that how big file system you need. It is automatically scalable, which means you can keep on putting your data and Elastic File System will scale based on how much data you put there. So in that case, it's similar to S3. But since EFS volume is mountable, so you can use that as another drive within your EC2 instances, and you can directly work with those files as if they are on the same EC2 instance. So it provides you low latency, easy accessibility, highly scalable, and other features like security are always there. So for EFS to work, your instances need to be able to connect through NFS 4.1. This is the file system version that EFS needs. Using NFS 4.1 and the utilities that AWS provides, you can easily mount a directory on EFS. So let's go and have a look on EFS. Open your AWS console, and here under the services, you can just click on the EFS. And here you can directly see the file systems that you have created. So right now I have created one file system, which is named as my EFS. When you create a file system, you get EFS ID, which you can see here. The metered size, which is like current size, since I have not put any content on this, it is just showing you minimal size of 6 KB. Now mount target means that in how many subnets your EFS spans. So for example, here, I'm working in North Virginia region. The reason being that EFS is not available in all the region as of now. In future, it might expand to more regions, but as of now, it's not available in Asia Pacific Mumbai region. I'm using North Virginia region. And here, as you know, 6 availability zones are there within the North Virginia region. So AWS provides me 6 subnets, one in each availability zone. So while creating the file system, it asks that this file system should be accessible from how many subnets. And so I selected there 2 subnets out of 6 available. So each mount target gets an IP address. Using these IP addresses and this mount target, it is made possible that your file system is accessible directly from the EC2 instance. Now Elastic File System supports 2 types of storage. One is the general purpose one, as you have seen in the EBS volumes. Another is provisioned IOPS, which is more of IOPS intensive. So if you want to create a file system which is going to be accessed by something like hundreds or thousands of EC2 instances simultaneously, which means you would need very high IO. So for that, you'll be going for that provisioned IOPS EFS. For most of the use cases, your general purpose would work just fine. So I'm going to create a file system here, a new one. And only thing I need to tell is what would be the VPC. So you can create EFS in your own virtual network. If you have not created your own virtual network, use the default VPC provided by AWS. So I'm going to use a default VPC. Next thing is ask is that the EC2 instances which are going to attach this EFS, they can be in how many subnets and in what subnet. So here you can see there are availability zones and the subnets. So based on what subnet is there in which availability zone, you will be selecting your subnets. So suppose in this case, I have got my subnet. So suppose in this case, I've got my instances in the availability zone C and D. So in that case, I'm going to make mount target from only these subnets. So if I had multiple subnets, I could have selected those subnets. The IP address that is assigned to the mount target, that can be automatic, or I can select this IP address based on the CIDR block of my subnet. Then like anything else, you can use security group. You can customize this security group, and using that you can control who has access to your EFS. So I'm going to use the default security group only. That's all. You can now give the formal name, etc. for this. So I can give it demo EFS, and then what kind of disk you want, general purpose or the one which is more like provisioned IOPS in EBS volume, which is called here max IO. So you can select max IO. So you can select max IO if you need multiple, in fact hundreds of EC2 instances to access your EFS simultaneously. Then you can enable encryption. If you enable encryption, you have to provide that what kind of key you are going to use for encryption. Next step, like any other service, you can just review the settings, and if it is fine, then you can create the file system. Now under free tier, 5 GB of storage on EFS is for free, or more than that you will be charged. Once it gets created, it will take some time, something like about 2 minutes to properly create the file system. And then using this file system ID, you can mount it on your EC2 instance. So basically there is a step for mounting it. You first need to install NFS utilities on your EC2 instance. Once your NFS utilities get installed, you just need to write a command for mount with EFS option, and you have to provide this file system ID and the directory on which you want to mount. So in that case, it's similar to how you do it on EBS volumes. So once you've got your file system created and mounted, you can use utilities like file sync, which as the name suggests, will synchronize your data from your on-premise servers to your file system, or maybe from another EC2 instance to this file system. So as you can see, here in the description itself, it says that you can sync the data in a secure manner from your existing on-premise servers or a virtual machine from AWS Cloud. So due to these features and the simplicity of EFS, it is used basically as you use network file servers. So whenever you need to put some data which is needed by multiple teams across multiple availability zones or by multiple applications which are running on multiple servers, EFS becomes a very good choice. A good use case these days is use of EFS by microservices. So as you know, microservices are deployed on containers, and if you are aware of the container management system, then containers can be spun on a cluster of EC2 instances. Now these containers sometimes need to write data on a particular location. They can do it on the EC2 instances, but again the EC2 instance may go down, and that is where EFS can be beneficial for your containers. So if containers are trying to store data on some storage device, then EFS becomes a very good service to use. So that's all we have in EFS. See you soon in the next video. Thank you for watching.